So now the FBI wants to know who's responsible for a major cyber attack at Sony Pictures. One possible suspect, North Korea. And the reason? Retaliation for a comedy about an assassination attempt on its dear leader. Adam Housley has more on this. What are you hearing about this report, Adam?
Yeah, well, first of all, it all began really last week, Bill. It's kind of two attacks if you look at it that way. One was internal. So a skeleton appeared on the Sony Picture computers throughout the building last week, which caused the first problem at Sony Pictures with a small message that claimed they'd been hacked by a group calling itself GOP, which is Guardians of Peace. And they threatened to release top secrets of Sony, and they basically did that because at least 5 Sony Pictures that weren't yet released out for us to watch in movie theaters were shared on some of the unauthorized file-sharing websites, including the upcoming movie Annie, movie Mr. Turner, Still Alice, and another movie called To Write Love on Her Arms. Now, the Sony corporate email and other internal systems also were knocked offline, basically hacked. The FBI, of course, investigating all of this. It may be linked, as you mentioned, Bill, to the upcoming Seth Rogen, James Franco comedy, The Interview, which basically the two play tabloid journalists who score an interview with Korean dictator Kim Jong-un and then are recruited by the CIA to assassinate him. North Korea denounced that movie back in June, calling it an act of war. Computer security experts say this hack could be just the beginning for Sony.
Someone looks to get their foot in the door by attacking some endpoint that might be lesser secured. And then once they are at that location, they then try to break into systems further closer to the core IT infrastructure of an organization like Sony itself.
Now, some of the Sony computer systems are finally getting back to normal. They also released, I believe it's 17 of the company executives who make at least $1 million. Putting that information online, which you know, Bill, can cause internal problems. With
Certainly
Sony as well.
can. The FBI is warning of a bigger attack, like what?
Yeah, well, anytime you have a company like Sony or anybody for that matter suffer this kind of attack, both internal and external, they get a flash warning which goes out. Now, this happened to a number of companies over the last couple of years we've talked about that happened with the Sony attack. Basically, it's warning them about malware. I mean, if you get when you get a virus on your computer at home, same idea, only on a much larger scale. So they're basically telling people to keep an eye out for this. But it's not the first major cyber attack we know against Sony, the second one, and it's also not the first major cyber attack against a major American corporation, and that's based here in the U.S., partially at least. So it's an issue that they're trying to trace back. Bill, very hard to follow this stuff.
Indeed.
I mean, it could go back to China, it could go back to North Korea, but because they kind of hopscotch around when they do these attacks.
And movies are one thing, your personal information, entirely different deal. Thank you, Adam Housley.
That never happens to any of us, right, Bill?
Right on.
All right.
I hope not. From Los Angeles. Thanks.